Welcome back to a very late episode of Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today? Where, yes, this is a very late episode because, I didn't have much time to record today, but I finally found time in this moment now. What are we going to talk about? I don't really know. You would have thought after all this time I would have thought of something to talk about, but I haven't. Honestly, I'm quite tired, to be honest. Reasonably quite sleepy, but so I might go to bed quite soon after this. But we're still here for now, so let's make the most of a moment. Yesterday I spoke about Bluey, didn't I? I'm a little bit not upset about the fact I spoke about Bluey, but I was like, I vastly underestimated how many episodes and how much I talk on every single episode to actually cover the entire thing. The entire topic, but I don't even know what else I'd want to say about it, so who knows. Good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhollow, it's 10:58 p.m. on Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. Because I feel like most of the things I said about family cartoons and that sort of thing I've already covered pretty much in when I first talked about family cartoons and that sort of thing in the first place, such that I don't really have much else to talk about, I think, when it comes to Bluey stuff. I mean, I'm sure people could do some sort of like literary analysis on Bluey, particularly. Well, I mean, you could do a literary analysis on, well, anything, I suppose, but I am probably not really that sort of person to do so. Amelia gave us a birthday thing. I don't remember if we keep. It seems like we keep birthday letters, so we'll keep them for now. I don't know what to talk about. I mean, but there's a way that we can talk about Bluey while also not talking about Bluey at the same time, because that the episode Sleepytime, and in fact I'm very tired right now. What was bedtime like when you were a child? I'm trying to remember it when I was younger. I mean. Did you ever have a nightlight when you were younger? No, but I don't think I did. From what I recall, that seems like very much something which I was taught about through cartoons. I can't remember what cartoon it was that first introduced me to it. I feel like it was Simpsons or something, where it was just like someone was sleeping over at like Ralph Wiggum's house or something, and he needs like a nightlight in the dark or something. Or maybe it's one of the Ned Flanders kids. I don't really remember. And it was just like, I feel like it was Bart sleeping over, and it was just like an insanely bright light. And I just sort of went like, why would you want a nightlight that bright? If anything, I want the complete opposite when I'm sleeping. I want it to be like pitch black so I can't see anything. I don't know why. I actually used to wear a sleeping mask when I was younger as a child when I went to sleep. I don't even know why. I think it's because they used to give them out on airplanes. Which makes sense on airplanes because sometimes it can be quite bright and you want to get to sleep anyway, and wearing a sleeping mask can sort of block out all the light, and I just kept them, and I just kept wearing them. I don't know, I also don't know at what point I necessarily stopped using them, but I do at least remember that to a certain degree. We know Tortimer's not going to be here at Harv's Island, which is, now I think about it, not really much point of going out. No, we're going there for Katrina, that's fair. Also, things like parents tucking you in, I suppose, when you go to sleep. My parents did obviously say goodnight to me, but I didn't realise tucking in was literally a physical action. I thought tucking in is just what you call when you send your child to sleep, where you spend some time with them while they get to sleep, and you're like good night, kiss on the forehead, that sort of thing, and then they leave. But I don't know. I feel like it was. It's amazing how many random things I end up learning from cartoons. Like Ed and Eddie or something was something about tucking in. Well, I can't remember, Double D or someone tucked in one of the Eds. One of the Eds tucked in one of the other Eds because they were looking after her. I really can't remember. I don't even know if it was Ed and Eddie, to be perfectly honest. And it might be numerous other cartoons on Cartoon Network I used to watch when I was younger. But is that an actual thing, tucking in, where you actually, the parent actually takes a blanket and actually tucks it underneath you? That feels like it'd be rather uncomfortable, if anything, being able to move around in bed is nice because you can sort of change the position you're sleeping in and thus become more comfortable in one way or another. That's what I think. I don't know, what are we talking about? Nighttime ritual, sleepy time, bedtime stories? Did I have bedtime stories when I was younger? Not very often, I would say. Sometimes. But it's not from the sake of here's a storybook, read it to a child, that sort of thing. Or something. If I got a bedtime story, it would be a random story that my parents made up or something, which was honestly equally impressive in its own right, I think. This is not to disparage my parents or something, because they didn't do the stereotypical sleepy time rituals I think that other parents might necessarily have done. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these generic sort of sleep time rituals rituals is not really the right word, but things and habits tend to be quite sort of like a Western thing, or quite invented for the sake of, not invented for the sake of television, but like exaggerated for the sake of television, because it gives a sort of like medium to have these actions happen at night time rather than just sort of being like good night and then like leaving. I don't know, bedtime stories. Well, one thing actually, which I remember my parents telling me about, like when I was like super young, one of them both, was that we'd both we get like pretty tired in the car and that sort of thing. So sometimes my parents are like to put me or my sister to sleep, we'd just like be in the car and like drive around for a bit and it just like immediately to sleep or something. I'm not really sure why, but to be honest, sometimes I feel quite sleepy in the car, to be honest. I'd be like, do you sleep in the car all the time? Basically, if it's a long enough journey and I don't need to be awake for it, yeah, I'll sleep in the car. Obviously, if I need to stay awake to like give directions or something, or to like entertain someone or like chat with someone, I'll stay awake. But a lot of the times, if there's no need, I'll just go to sleep in the car. Well, what else is there to do? It's transport. Might as well pay you that sleep debt now. You don't sleep as much later. Stay up a little bit later. Wake up a bit earlier. It's all good things, and I'm sure part of the reason is a sort of nostalgia baked in to the sleepy time of going on like road trips with my family and just like sleeping in the back of a car and that sort of thing. Like one thing, I can't remember which webcomic artist created this, but there's like this fantastic animated webcomic about the feeling of like going under those like tunnels as a child in the backseat of a car, like the orange tunnels were like with the blinking lights on and off and the sort of like whimsical sleepy feeling that you get inside of it. Is it, maybe I can find it, hold on. Animated webcomic late night tunnel car ride? If this actually comes up, that'd be absolutely insane, because it's probably the most the least descriptive thing. Oh, is that it? It actually came up. Buleiko a Toyota was fantastic. Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. Does this person still make webcomics? I don't know. I do remember that last line. Let's see, most recent webcomic. Don't know. They're very random. When was this uploaded? Let's see. Comments? Archives? I don't know how to check. January 2021. So it wasn't actually. That's actually quite recently that we still did stuff. So fair enough. There you go. You can find it yourself if you want. Our Toyota was fantastic. That's the sort of nostalgia I'm talking about. Excuse me. What else was I going to talk about? I don't know. What other sort of sleepy time things are there? Like a blanket. I don't think I ever had like a blankie, as other people might call it. I suppose when you're a child. Like a specific blanket I had to sleep with. I mean, I had my duvet, like on my bed, which I slept with, I suppose, but it's not like I had a specific one I had to sleep with. Did I have like plushies when I went to sleep? Yeah, I had plushies when I went to sleep. I have this little teddy bear called Holly, who still sits in my bed now, to be honest. Not like cradled in my arms anymore, just sort of like, I have a load of plushies sort of lining the sides of my bed. I don't know why particularly, but we just sort of been there and then, and never got rid of him since. So that's kind of why. I guess it's nostalgic, if anything. So I had that. Cookies and milk before you go to sleep? No, wait, maybe that's Santa. Maybe that's a Christmas thing. I don't know what other sort of bedtime rituals are there. You might be like, why are you talking about this? I don't know. I guess it does appear in Bluey, because Sleepytime, as I mentioned before, is like one of few episodes on IMDb which is still rated 10 out of 10, which is astonishing, all things considered. And it's a really good episode, I'm not gonna lie. It's not literally my favourite episode, I don't think, but it's a really good one, where it's basically sort of, a child's journey through going to sleep and that sort of thing, and a mother's love being reflected in it. It's really heartwarming. I don't know, I'm trying to think what other things, like other sort of rituals I had before I go to sleep. I remember when I was much younger, I used to always be really, really scared at the concept of Medusa. You know how like kids randomly get like, I suppose like, I'm not sure if nightmares is the right word, but I guess nightmarish things, like haunted by certain like thoughts and images, like irrationally. So, for some kids it's like ghosts, for some kids it's whatever, the dark, I don't know, the boogie monster, whatever. For me, for whatever reason, it was Medusa, or it was the big one that I can remember. I think the Weeping Angels also gave me like like, I don't want to say nightmares, because it's not like I went to sleep and I dreamt of them. It was more like when I was going to sleep, I was thinking of them, and that made it harder to sleep, which is sort of like, if I say nightmares, it's like I'm not asleep yet, so it's not really a nightmare, but they definitely did not affect my sleeping, but affect the time before I went to sleep, because I'll be honest, I can kind of sleep like through most things. I'm going to be, oh no, pumpkins. I can kind of sleep through like whatever, to be perfectly honest, even when I was younger. I don't think we can sell anything. I think Nooks is probably closed. It is closed. But yeah, for whatever reason, I was very irrationally afraid of Medusa, because there was this, I think I talked about this book before actually, there was this like, not animated, it was cartoon, Greek mythology book, which was basically a load of comics about a load of Greek myths, and one of them, oh, Celeste is here, hello, it's been ages since we've seen you, Celeste. So we can actually give you, a recipe. What one have you given us? Because if it's the first time we've spoken to you in a specific astrological time period, Scorpio lamp. This must be the first time we've ever spoken to you during the Scorpio season. Yeah, it's very rare that we're playing this late at night and then actually find Celeste. Actually, no, Celeste comes around 7 PM, doesn't she? Or 8 PM, I forget. So we should probably check more often. So I suppose probably towards the end of this video we'll just sort of see if we can wish upon shooting stars. But yeah, it was that book about animated, cartoon, Greek mythology, Greek myths, and for whatever reason, one about Medusa really like got into my head. Despite the fact, like, you know, being older, being like, Medusa's story's kind of messed up. Like, Medusa didn't really do anything wrong, from my recall. She was just like really pretty, and the gods were like, screw you, Medusa, and then turned her into a hideous monster, and such that anyone who looked at her turned to stone. She wasn't like particularly villainous or anything. From what I've recalled, but just I don't know, the story itself was very frightening for me. And for whatever reason, I was just like, you know, maybe that's actually why I started wearing a night mask and a sleeping mask in the first place. It was like, I can't like open my eyes just in case, you know, Medusa's standing there and I get turned to stone, which, you know, obviously would be a bad thing if somehow she became real and that just like happened in the first place. But the biggest thing, I suppose, which is to sort of remember, is like, if that happened, then, you know, at least it's very immediate, it's sort of like instant, you know, it's not like I could do anything about it if I didn't know she was there, and, you know, I looked into her eyes. If anything, you know, as I say, Medusa wasn't really a villain, she'd probably be quite sad about it, you know. Isn't that the whole reason why she, like, isolated herself in the first place? She was like, I don't want anyone to come near me, but still people just were, like, still trying to come up to her and, like, murder her or something, because she was like, oh, she's a foul beast or whatever, and she was just like, please leave me alone or something. I don't really remember the story of Medusa or about let's just Google it. Medusa. Anyway, she had like sisters. It was like the Gorgon sisters in the comics or something. Anyway, and all I gotta say, pretty messed up of Greek gods to do that. If that was the actual story, let's see. Yeah, hold on. 3 Gorgon sisters: Medusa, Spheno, and Uriel. These two don't even have pictures of them. Oh, that's because those two are immortal. But bellowing cries. And I just want to read the mythos. Yeah, Persephone. No, is it Persephone? No, Perseus is the one who killed Medusa, right? Using reflection to look at her, which seems like a bit of a, I'm going to be honest, it kind of feels like a sort of like a, what's the word? Like a loophole which I'm not particularly convinced by. I guess it makes sense. Otherwise, you could argue that any sort of like light, mildly light surface would reflect any eyesight, any light which goes into Medusa's eyes, and thus would turn you into stone. Thus, like anything you looked at would turn you into stone, which is probably not great. So I guess that kind of makes sense. Anyway, but apparently I have some like weird thing against like turning into stone. You know, like Medusa, there's the one with the Weeping Angels. Weeping Angels is not really the same. If anything, Weeping Angels and Medusa, like, would maybe a nasty combination together. Like, one you can't look at, but the other, if you don't look at it, you'll die. Well, actually, that's not the thing with Weeping Angels. Even as an adult, reflecting back on it, Weeping Angels, like, fate is not that bad compared to a lot of other Doctor Who villains. What they do, if I record, is they basically send you back in time, so you would die on the day that they caught you, or something like that, or around the time that they caught you. That's not that bad. You still live your life. You just live your life, like, in the past. Which I suppose is, you know, it kind of sucks, to be honest, because you kind of, like, die to the people around you, I suppose. But it's also, like, you know, you still get to live your life. If anything, you live a second life. You get a second chance at life. Well, not really a second chance, because you're still the same age. Yeah, so it's amazing that if anything, I suppose it goes to show that the horror of weeping angels, I suppose, was not inherently within the fate that they would cause upon you upon reaching you, but more like the mannerisms in the first place. It's very uneery, just like seeing their very like obviously stoic expressions with like their face over their eyes and that sort of thing. And then suddenly, boom, the horrifying like screechy things and like seeing something moving which shouldn't be. And I guess because it's sort of like in the realm of realism, isn't it? It's obviously not realistic. Stone statues don't move, and if they do, they probably wouldn't want to get caught, I'd imagine, unless, you know, it seems like kind of a bad thing to get caught in the first place. But and if a weeping angels were real, then I'd imagine a lot of people would probably just like stare at them and like push them over or like smack them with a sledgehammer so they shatter. I don't really know if they were impervious to that. Maybe they were. But yeah, like, I don't know what I was going to say about this. It's amazing that we got such a reputation for being so creepy. It's just like, oh yeah, that's what I was saying, because it's like your plausibility. You could imagine it happening to you in real life, like you seeing a stone statue and like you turning away, looking back again, and it's moved. There's no visible fantastical element to it. There's no like flying magic or anything which makes you go, oh, that doesn't make any sense. There's no like alien creature which you look at and be like, that doesn't even look remotely plausible. It's sort of a thing where it's like, whoa, like I could see this happening in real life and it would freak me out, that sort of thing. I really need to blow my nose. Hold on a second. Alright, I'm back. So yeah, but, I mean, that's not really a sleep time ritual. I remember another thing I used to do was like, because she had 3 sisters, and it would be like, anytime I look to the left, I need to look at the left, middle, and right. Wait, hold on, this doesn't even make sense now I think about it. Okay, I'm going to tell you now anyway. It used to be that, theoretically, these like 3 sisters, these 3 golden sisters were like, coming to get me and turn me to stone for whatever reason, but I could stop them by looking in a certain direction. Like, I'd look to the left, middle, like, I'd either look to the left, right, or upwards, and it would, like, stop one of his sisters. So I had to make sure I stepped at, like, an equal amount on all sides, and then I'd, like, survive a night or something. But that doesn't even make sense, because if they were villainous, which I don't think they are, they'd want you to look at them. So, that, like, if anything, you would just look at them and you just, like, immediately die, right? I don't even understand how part of younger me, like, came up with that sort of association in the first place. I guess that's a sort of a mix of Weeping Angels and, Medusa, I suppose, in the first place. And it started out as an episode as very like cozy sort of like childhood sleepy time rituals, but now it's just turned into like more like not horrifying things, but very like weird things, I suppose, in the first place. I forgot what else I was going to say. There's something else I was going to say about this, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, other sleepy time rituals? I don't know. What if I just Google sleepy time? 1, do you think Bluey will come up? And 2, do you think other sort of sleepy time things? I spelled it wrong, apparently. Sleepy time extra. Sleepy time plus. Is that like a Wikipedia thing? Oh, it is. No, hold on. Disambiguation. Bedtime. Siesta. Siesta. SpongeBob SquarePants. A second series episode of animated show Bluey. It's there on Wikipedia at least, but you can't click on it. Crib Talk? Pre-sleep monologue. Ritual part of parenting to help children feel more secure. Let's see. Bedtime stories. Not having children's songs? What? Nursery rhymes? Bed making? Why would you make your bed before you get... What? Shouldn't you make your bed after you've, like, gotten out of it? Getting children to change into nightwear, like pyjamas. Okay, I guess I still do that. I still wear pyjamas. This is comfier. Prayers before going to bed. I guess it makes sense if you're religious. Maybe part of bedtime ritual training for babies and toddlers. Huh. Sleepy time. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say, but there you go. Sleepy time. I guess that's what we're going to title this episode. And on that note, probably sleepy time for me pretty soon, and maybe you, depending on what time you watch this. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope you see each other again, but for now, it's out farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.